Good morning, beloved ones. This is a good and glorious morning. It's a wonderful morning. I pray that you all are resurrected, yes, and that you've been filled with power from on high, right? I know that you have had an opportunity during this wonderful previous week of Passion Week to cross out all limitations, all negativity, all that would hold you back from being your wondrous, glorious self. Because that's what the Easter message was all about, being able to cross out and to stand tall and in the presence and in the power of who God is in and through and as you. So I see you all as resurrected light beings filled with joy. I'm still buzzing from last week. I'm always delighted when we have our wonderful sacred holidays, whether it's Easter or Christmas or Mother's Day. I'm always glad when they come, but I'm also glad when it's over because it's a lot of work. And this year we had a wonderful opportunity to have a new service. So thank you. And I'm thinking that if we really had this spiritual overcoming, if we have really raised our consciousness, right, and crossed out that limitation, if we have raised our vibrations, if we really have done that inner work that Easter represents and gone through the crucifixions so we can have the resurrection, then we should be seeing and experiencing life differently. Something ought to be different about us, right? We should be seeing and experiencing life differently with more understanding, more love, more light, more forgiveness, more compassion, which brings us to our lesson this morning. And I love the way Spirit works, because Spirit always gives us live opportunities to express the lesson. Isn't that wonderful? I love it. That's God. All right. So we've been working with this series titled Ancient Wisdom for 21st Century Living, right? And we are starting with covering the Beatitudes as the first ancient wisdoms that we thought we would look into. The Beatitudes, or as we like to call them, the attitudes of being that were laid down by Jesus the Christ. And I'm thinking in this day and age, we certainly could use some insights that would help us to engage with the world or to engage with our fellow travelers on the path of life. Because Lord knows, whenever we encounter another, right? Doesn't matter who the another is, but whenever we encounter another, be it friend or co-worker or family or, mother, father, whatever. Whenever we do that and we have that wonderful, we call them holy encounters. But whenever we have an encounter with another, there will be a time when we're going to need some forgiveness, some understanding, and maybe even a little mercy, right? A little mercy. Jesus said, "Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy." Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Now, who amongst us has not ever wanted or needed some mercy? Everybody, right? In the course of your life, I'm sure you wanted someone to be merciful to you. You needed some mercy. Well, I was looking at the word mercy because I'm a wordsmith. I love words. And so I love the word mercy, not only because of the way it sounds. I think it's a beautiful sounding word, mercy. It just sounds so lovely. But I'm also impressed with the word for what it means for the human soul. Because without some mercy, the soul cannot really thrive. It's very important that for our human expression, that we have this understanding and the experience of mercy. Because mercy is what enables us to be better human beings. Think of how we would be if we were not able to show mercy. So it enables us to be better human beings. It is what brings out what I would say high spiritual qualities, the high spiritual qualities in us. So listen to Webster's definition of mercy. He says it's compassion or forbearance shown especially to an offender or someone subject to one's power. So mercy is compassion or forbearance shown especially to an offender, right? So we've all had people that have offended us. We've all been the offender. We've had people offend us. And mercy is, or is somebody perhaps subject to one's power. And I thought about that because we all there's all various levels of power play and power controls in our life, right? Your boss has a certain level of power over you. You as a parent have a certain level of power over your children. And so somebody is subjected to us or to our sense of power in some fashion. And mercy is that compassion or forbearance that is shown to one who is subject to our power. And this is another definition that I like. It says it is a blessing that is an act of divine favor or compassion. A blessing that is an act of divine favor or compassion. And some synonyms for it are charity, clemency, grace, entity. So, to me, I thought, well, what's my definition? To me, mercy is forgiveness and compassion together on steroids. Right? Because there's a little bit more and deeper, right, than forgiveness. It's mercy, true mercy is forgiveness and compassion mixed together, but on steroids. It involves a higher octane of spirit. Right? It's very powerful. Because it can relieve suffering. Mercy helps to relieve suffering in the world or suffering perhaps in someone's life. Or it can mean that it will forego punishment even when punishment is warranted. Right? It's a deeper level of forgiveness because it comes directly from a compassionate heart and not just the head. Because sometimes we can, well, I should forgive, and we go through all this. But when you have mercy, there's a different level. It's coming from a spiritual, it's a true spiritual quality. Because you can't have mercy and have some other stuff going on in your head. You can't be, when you express mercy, it has to be of the Spirit. You can't be all mad and think you're going to dispense mercy. It's sort of like gratitude. You can't be grateful, truly grateful, and then have, negativity going on in your heart at the same time. Now, you may have it at some other time, but the moment you express mercy, it's a quality in it because you are automatically touching the Spirit whenever you express mercy. You're into the spiritual realm, and you're operating from the spiritual realm whenever you express or touch mercy. It's powerful. And so I'm thinking that, if even Webster says that it's a blessing or an act of the divine favor or compassion, that it's no wonder that Jesus would include it in the Beatitudes as one of these things that we are to, an attitude of being that we should express. I was thinking this morning, why didn't he put in gratitude? Because that's another powerful expression, but maybe he wanted us to do that, So I'm thinking this whole concept of mercy, because it's very natural for everyone to want mercy if they have a need for it. Isn't that a natural desire for everybody? Everybody wants to be forgiven. Everybody wants to be shown love, understanding. So I'm thinking everybody wants that. But notice this beatitude. This beatitude says, "Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy." Blessed are the merciful. So the question is then, are you merciful? Or merciful or full of mercy? Because that is really the important question. Are you full of mercy? Do you show forgiveness, love, compassion, understanding, grace? Do you show that easily, quickly, and fully to others, especially those who have offended you. See, not just those people you like, but can you show it especially to those who have offended you, or who have harmed you in some way, or who've treated you poorly, or who didn't understand you, or who disrespected you, or whatever? Have you and can you show mercy in that capacity? So the test then is not whether you would want mercy, because that's a given. Everybody wants mercy. So that's not the test. The test is, are you merciful? Do you do unto others as you would have them do unto you? Right? That's the question. We have to show mercy, be merciful, in order to have mercy shown to us. That's what it says. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall be shown mercy. And I would even go so far as to say that the degree of your ability to be merciful speaks to the level of your consciousness. It really does. I try not to judge people by consciousness, but it really does speak to the level of one's consciousness. Because if your consciousness is high, if your consciousness is really stayed on the truth, then mercy will be a natural expression, right? And it'll be easy for you to show it and to express it to others. It may even be your first response to be merciful. But if your consciousness is really sort of on a lower level, then feelings of unforgiveness, revenge, payback, restitution, right, might rear its ugly head. So when something happens and somebody does something to you, you're harmed, you're offended, come on. Right? Because that's what we're used to. You hit me, I'm going to do what? Hit you back. You bomb my country, I'm going to bomb your country. That's a natural thing, but that's a certain level of consciousness. So when we are on a higher vibration, then mercy begins to be the response. See, this is why Jesus could be crucified and said, well, forgive them. A different level of consciousness operating there, a powerful one. See, being merciful means that you also have an understanding that life is not always fair. It is not always fair. I remember, when you were children, my mother, poor thing, she used to have to cut. If she was going to give a piece of sandwich, she had to cut that cake right down to the exact same measure. So my brother and I could have that, right? Because if he had a bigger piece or I had a bigger piece, one of us wasn't going to be happy, right? Because we think it should be fair. Everything should be equal, but life is not always fair in that regard. And being mercy is having that understanding. It means that sometimes you will have to give more, far more than you will receive in some instances. But you give it anyway. See, merciful means you might be asked to give more or even to do more, to step up more than the next person, but you do it anyway. Because when that merciful consciousness is operating, you're on a whole different level. You understand that you don't always reap in the same field that you have sown in. Life is not tit for tat. I give you a blessing, you give me a blessing. I invite you to dinner, you have to invite me to dinner. I do this for you, you must do that. It doesn't work that way. And when we are in a certain high consciousness, you understand that. So you understand that you'll never be cheated out of your good. No matter if you're giving more good, it doesn't matter. You understand. To be merciful means you are operating on that spiritual level. It is an act of the divine touching you, touching your heart so that the love and the grace of God may begin to flow through you. And when you are merciful, this is what you have to understand. You are being an agent for God. You're an agent of God. You're an instrument of God for his divine love. And when we allow God to begin to use us, We're just saying, use me. Use me for your service. Use me for the kingdom. Use me. We sing that all the time. When you're an agent, when you're merciful, you're an agent for God. And that instrument, you let that love begin to flow through. And when we can allow God to use us for the blessing of somebody else, to show his love and his compassion to somebody else, then God will show those things to you. That's how it works, right? Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. And in his time and in his way. So don't think, well, I did this, Lord, I prayed and I said my affirmations and I tithed and I support the church and my life isn't doing this and that. Now you didn't give it to me, it's due now. I want... When, oh Lord, when, right? Your task is to be open and to be that agent for God's love. And in his time and in his way. It might be a totally another field that's going to come. Your blessing's going to come someplace else. In his time, then he will begin to show himself, his goodness. We'll begin to see the goodness of God at work in our lives. We'll see it when it's time for it to be shown to us, but it will be shown. I believe the scripture when it says, blessed are the merciful, and they will be shown mercy. So I don't have to know when. It might come at the right time. Maybe I would have given $1,000 to somebody, but all of a sudden, one night I had a flat tire on a dark, lonely road, and somebody came and fixed my tire. That's mercy, right? It's mercy. Because that's what I needed in that moment. And I could say, oh, thank you, God, you provided for me in that moment. No, you didn't send somebody else to give me $2,000. You gave me a tire that needed to be fixed. See, so we understand, you really get into that. And what happens is you're shown that, and you're able to then see the blessings all around. You start seeing good. Oh, my good is everywhere. And so what happens is this brings us to the next beatitude, which is, blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the poor in heart, for they will see God. Plain and simply, this says that when your heart is pure, you will see God. Or as we like to say in truth, you will see the good. So you see, when you are merciful or full of mercy, your heart now begins to open. Your heart begins to be purified, right? And there's a willingness to put God's infinite love into expression. So when you're merciful, you start putting God's love in expression. Your heart starts to open, and it becomes purified as you allow that love to move through it. And all of a sudden, you begin to see the good. You begin to put that love into expression, and you will start to see the good, because when your heart opens, you will take less offense. See, right now, when the heart is closed, everything offends us. Right? But when the heart is open, you don't harbor offenses. Instead, you're willing to offer a blessing. Sometimes you have to say, you know what? Sometimes we have to say, I bless you. And I release you, but I'm going to bless you, and I'm going to release you. Or I could stay there and duke it out, but I need to just bless you. So we're not going to harbor offenses. You begin to see the good in everything. You can see the possibility of good manifesting in any and every situation. In fact, we like to say, when your heart is open, you begin to look for the good and praise it. Right? That's a key phrase we say. Look for the good and praise it. This is powerful. We also like to say that everything is not good, but there is good in everything. See, that's when you start operating on, you begin to see it. Everything is not good, but there's good in everything. And so when the heart is pure, you see it. You see, oh, you know what? This is good. This is a lesson. This is a blessing. All right. This misunderstanding is going to lead us to someplace, higher and better. You begin to see the good. Blessed are the pure in heart. Well, what does it mean to be pure in heart? Webster says this about the word pure. Pure means that it is unmixed with any other matter, It is free from dust, dirt, or taint, free from harshness or roughness, free from what vitiates, weakens, or pollutes, free from moral fault or guilt, containing nothing that does not properly belong. And I'm thinking, wow, that's a lot to be free from, right? When you're pure, it's all that stuff. Wow, dust, dirt, harshness, free from anything that doesn't weaken or pollute, guilt, right? So that's but again, this is some high-minded teaching here. This is ancient wisdom for 21st century living, but it's high-minded teaching. Everybody's not going to be able to do these things. Everybody's not going to put forth the effort to really work on these beatitudes or attitudes of being, because they may be calling for too much. But this is high-minded stuff, and they're spiritual attitudes for a reason. They're for a reason, because they will take us, if you can employ them, they will take us to a higher level of consciousness and a willingness to actually then put forth spiritual values, spiritual principles. And when we do that, when we put those things above the lower demands of our human needs, then we start operating on a different level. The only thing that rightly belongs in the heart is love. That's the only thing that rightly belongs in one's heart, or is love, or any variation of love, compassion, whatever. And anything else pollutes, weakens it. So if you're holding unforgiveness, harshment, resentment, jealousy, vengeance, feelings of unworthiness, guilt, prolonged grief, or any other limiting condition, it will weaken you and weakens the heart. It shuts, all of those things, shuts the heart down, and it closes it off from the natural flow of God's healing love and compassion and light and understanding and mercy. So we've got to say, what's in the heart? What's in your heart? What is in your heart? Are there vestiges of limiting thoughts that we have allowed these negative, limiting, erroneous thoughts to now move from the head into the heart? Then you're in trouble, right? Because now we get that hardening of the heart. Now we start taking these limiting thoughts, and they reside in the heart, and our life begins to feel heavy, right? And so we've got to figure out, I need to not let these thoughts move into my heart. Turn to somebody and tell them, get out of your head and into your heart. Get out of your head and into your heart. Don't take what's in your head and put it in your heart. That's not going to work. So you got to do a review. Ask yourself, are you tender-hearted? Or are you hard-hearted? Ask yourself, are you kind-hearted or mean-spirited? Are you faint-hearted? Faint of heart, you can't just stick with it. You can't. Are you faint-hearted or are you strong-hearted, a brave heart? We've got to be able to see what's taking place in our hearts. What's the quality of our hearts, though? So here's a hint that I'm going to give you. I'm going to leave you with this hint on becoming more pure of heart. Because it said here there was a lot going on in the pure of heart, that you had to be free from this, guilt, and all this stuff, blame and shame, and all the negative things, right, that we kind of take from the head and put into the heart. But here's a hint to become more pure in your heart. And it's this, to reverse the process. Reverse the process, because Jesus said, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And I say, reverse it. Start practicing seeing God or good everywhere. Because you might say, I can't be pure in heart. But okay, start practicing to see if you can see good. Something happens. What's the good here? Because I know there has to be good in here somewhere. Start practicing to see the good everywhere and everything. And as you do that, it will begin to transform your heart. Because focusing on the good will weed out any pollutants. all those negative thoughts and feelings and things that we're holding in consciousness that may have seeped into the heart, it will begin to weed those out, right? And to cause a shift in your consciousness so that you begin to shift into the very love of God. Love of God. Because then, if you keep practicing seeing that good, and it'll shift those pollutants out, then it'll be only a matter of time before you will truly see God. You will see the good. Because what we want is for our hearts to flower. We want to be big-hearted. We want our hearts to open up wide, like a thousand, lotus petals of a lotus flower, or a rose that has several flowers. We want to keep opening and flowering so that we see more and more of God's grace, more and more of God's love. We just keep opening up to more light, more of God's presence in the middle of our heart just keeps opening. Because when the heart begins to truly open and it begins to truly flower, that's when you will know that you are now expressing the Christ consciousness. Because that's what it took. You see, that's why Jesus could say on the cross, "Oh, forgive them." The heart was open wide. So this is such a powerful time that we're living in right now. It's a powerful time for human history, because this time, more than any other time, the veil of truth is being opened wider and wider. People can feel it. So that veil of truth, it's like the angels are pushing back all that separates us from the presence, the very presence of God. The veil of truth is being opened. And so in this point, and in this time in history, we are closer to the divine than ever before. It's like you just speak it. You can ask and it will be given. There's nothing to get in the way now. And so you ask, and that what you're asking for is like really ready. It's right there. And so what I'm saying is start to ask for a pure heart. Ask to be free from all those pollutants, all those negative thoughts and feelings and doubts, whatever is down in there. All the history of what happened when you were a little child, and who left you, and who loved you, and who didn't love you, and leave all of that stuff. Let all that go. So you ask for a pure heart, because it is within a pure heart that God reigns. God lives. And it's in this place, from that pure heart of the divine, that unconditional love, the unconditional love of God, then begins to heal, begins to do its mighty work in you. It begins to flow to you and through you, and it heals you of any long, deep-seated hurts or wounds, or all that you might have been holding on to. That love begins to melt it away. All that is less than God, less than good, begins to melt away and disappear naturally and easily when you have opened your heart to the presence of God. Naturally, the work begins to happen. When your heart flowers, you will have more peace within and more peace in your relationships, right? When that happens, when your heart flowers, you will be ready to receive the gift of God's healing love. Love that's going to right every wrong. Love will right every wrong. You don't have to try to right it. The love of God in your heart rights every wrong without your effort. It'll be love that will join you together in harmony with every living being and creature upon the earth without your effort. It'll be a love that's going to bless you on every hand, that will lift you up, that will protect you, that will nurture you without your effort. It will simply be God drawing you unto itself, unto the source of life and love and goodness. So we need to practice opening up the heart. I was going to show you a little technique that I came across yesterday, a meditation technique for flowering the heart. And you can practice it when you go home, but it's very simple. You take your right hand and you just gently place it over your left, and you have your two thumbs sort of just gently touching. And when you're sitting down, you put it in your hands in your lap like this. And what you're doing is you've made a circle that goes from the hand across the chest down to this. So you have a center, right? And as you begin to do this, you would see energy moving. It could start with the left hand moving up your left hand, crossing your shoulder, crossing your heart and down, moving up your right hand, crossing. So you begin to just visualize energy, light, love, moving in that direction across. And then you take some time to just see a big heart, a flower in the center of your heart, a flower that begins to open, and you would put some of your attention now on this big flower that resides and just see it opening and opening and opening and pulsing with energy and love and vibration to the degree that it begins to fill this energy, this love fills your whole being, it fills your whole body, and you just keep the circle going on of energy and love, and you rest in that, just keep it going. And as it begins to pulsate and pulsate, you can then see it moving out from beyond you. It's filled your whole body with love and light, a pulsating energy, and now it moves beyond you, and it starts to fill this sanctuary, starts to fill every soul. It just keeps going out, touches everybody, moves out and from here into the community, into the world. You can also take people that you love and put them in this pulsating energy and just vibrate. It's opening the heart and allowing the heart to flower with the grace and the love of God. And you can practice that when you're home. But here's the thing. It's time for us to be merciful and pure in heart, because this is how God expresses to us and through us. So this is the day, and I'm glad we had a wonderful opportunity to practice. Blessings and namaste. Blessings. Blessings. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Namaste.